It's Brian J with Connecting Communities and our very special guest this fall, Laura Lee. I should say that with more exciting. Laura Lee!
Good morning. Hi.
Here we are. And I can't get this lighting to work, so I apologize for whatever reason.
You look gorgeous. You look gorgeous.
I'm trying. It's the beard. Let me tell you. First off, for folks that are just tuning in, this is our very first show of the fall season. As everyone knows, we switch out the guests. So for our fall season, why not really kind of dive in and get another perspective, which is why, I reached out to Laura. We did a podcast together during the spring, and the audience wanted you.
Awesome.
There's not much more I can say. So the feedback on it was really, really, really powerful. I got quite a different, I'm about to say tweets. I didn't get no tweets because I don't tweet either. But I did get some Facebook messages and I got some emails and some different questions and so forth. Dang it to heck, I am struggling with this light. So it keeps chopping on me. So we'll have to fix this out, or maybe I'll move. But anyway, back to the story. So here we are. Fall season, it's just started fall. We're about 2, maybe 3 weeks in. As most know, I've been out of touch for the last 3 weeks. It has been a whirlwind for me. From my mom having surgery, so I had to head up to PA for a week and take care of that. To my cat dying. Okay, I know I'm laughing about it, but it's just one of those things. Now, before everyone goes, "Oh my God, I can't believe he's laughing about his cat dying," Leo the lion lived a life. Okay, he was 17 years of age.
And, wow.
I want to die and come back as one of my pets. Right? Is that how you are too, Laura? Right? Like,
listen,
that's who we are.
They're so spoiled. They are, and I know people who have like human children get a little, but they're my kids. They get spoiled just as much as I spoil my nieces and nephews. So
I mean, they're a part of us. They they sympathize with us. They celebrate with us. I don't know how many times I had picked Leo up and, shake it. That sounds horrible. I promise I didn't shake him. I need to stop talking. So anyway, as I was saying, my cat died. My mom had surgery, and my relationship fell apart, right? So here I am, ready to rock and roll. No, all kidding aside. Long story short, as most folks probably already know, but for those that do not, it's the end of a 20-plus year or minus relationship. But here's the best thing. As always, I am an excellent ex-husband.
Awesome.
Excellent ex-husband.
You know what? My parents had that. My parents got divorced when it was my freshman year of high school. Like, so, that's pretty good timing anyway. But my dad's mantra was, you know what? We messed up the marriage. Let's not mess up the divorce. And I'm like you. I'm also going through a divorce right now. 2020 pandemic divorces. Let's hear them.
Us and Kelly Clarkson, Laura. Okay,
right,
that's all I'm saying.
It is. But that's been my motto with my ex too, is like, we messed up the relationship. Let's not mess up this divorce. We spent years together loving each other. Let's continue to love each other just in a different way. And Absolutely. So far, so good. Knock on wood.
Good. Well, as everyone knows, I'm an open book. Susan and I, this was our second time around. Right. Mm-hmm. So we were married for about 13 years the first time. And then we were together. I'm doing the math. Sorry. About 7 years the second. We lived together for about 3, strictly platonic. And that's how it evolved in that 3 years. Mm-hmm. Well, let me tell you, here we are. But at the end of the day, she's my person. Right. No matter what I'm going to go through and vice versa. I love her with everything. We're just not that couple together, Exactly. I'm too much and she's not. So at the end of the day, that's what it is. But I don't care how I have it in a relationship as long as she doesn't leave our life. That's the biggest piece for me. We entered this relationship loving each other, and we're going to end our lives loving one another. It's just a different kind of love.
Yeah, for sure. And
now, did you guys have to split some fur babies with that process?
We've got 2 dogs, and so yes, we're having shared custody arrangements. So yeah, I just had the dogs actually for a long weekend this weekend, and they were here on Monday all day with me Monday too, and I just started a new job, so I'm working 10-hour days. It's work from home, so it's not too bad, but it's still a 10-hour day. And then on Mondays and Tuesdays, I have grad school classes from 6 to 9. So it's like I'm staring at a computer for like 15 hours a day.
Oh,
And
now, when do you do Toledo Talks? Because for folks that don't know, Laura Lee, she has her, listen, Laura, go. I can't explain you. You explain
Yeah,
you.
so I also do, that's right. I also have my other podcast, Toledo Talks, which I do, I put that out twice a week on Tuesdays and Fridays.
Wow.
Is when I put out episodes. So I just had an episode that came out yesterday. So go download if you want. Toledo Talks. It's wherever you get your podcasts. Also on Facebook, all one word. So yeah, they were over yesterday, or they were over on Monday, and they were just so bored with watching me sit on a computer that by Monday they just were having WrestleMania all over the basement all day. And I was just like, oh my gosh. So I was, I love them dearly. But when my ex, their dog dad came to pick them up Monday evening, I was, it quieted my house a little bit, and I felt a little bit better after that.
Look, I totally understand. As I said, this has been crazy 3 weeks, right? It was just back to back to back. I got home, I straightened this place up, I put everything in, I packed it down. I had Jackson Robert on Tuesday or Wednesday of last week. So Thursday, when I came home and finished work, I sat in my living room floor and bawled for like 15 minutes, just because everything was just. And
you just gotta get it out.
Yeah, I'm not a pretty crier. Like, I'm snot in my beard. I'm literally laying on the floor bawling, to the point that my neighbor came over and knocked on my door because my windows were open to make sure I was okay. So I'm answering the door. It was a mess. And I hid out for the weekend, literally stayed in my bedroom, and then woke up Sunday morning and I just felt, like it was good. It was calm. It hit me. I dealt with it. Here we are next day.
And that's, a lot of that time I know a lot of people don't like getting super emotional. And I know I'm like 75% Irish. So my emotions are hardwired to my tear ducts. So as soon as I feel any extreme emotion, like tears just come, which then make you more annoyed and add more tears. So I get it. Like, a lot of people don't like to be that emotional, but it's so cathartic when you can just get it out. It's just like, it's such an easy way to get it out of your soul.
Absolutely. Listen, I ain't afraid of no emotion. Okay.
Right.
I am a 43-year-old emotional grown ass man. Right. So if I want to cry, I'm going to cry. Okay. If I want to hug you, I'm going to hug you. Well, for folks that probably don't realize either, is, Laura, we have a connection back in your teens.
Yes,
I knew little Laura.
Yeah, you were my manager at Bob Evans when I was like, I don't know, however old you can be when you can first get a job, like 15, 16.
Well, you're talking 2000. This was 2002. So if that puts you in
it
age.
was before that. I graduated high school in 2002. So we're talking, the 2000 probably. I know, right? Same.
Oh my God, there were some good times there. We had some managers there.
It was fun. That's what is what makes me most worried with the pandemic and everything is, restaurants are getting the hardest hit, and working in a restaurant is just such an experience, especially when, you're in your teens and early 20s, that I really hope that we can make sure that we are supporting our local restaurants and we can keep them around, because I definitely think waitressing is an experience that everybody should have.
I think everyone before college should work at McDonald's or a food place, because food will make or break you. It is the hardest job out there. One of the things that I regret, I was a manager, or early manager in my early 20s. So when I came to you, I was probably 25, 26. I believe I was an assistant at that point in time.
Yeah.
So I wish I could redo it. I had a very strict policy that I was not ever going to be friends with people I worked with, because at that point in time, I couldn't balance the two. Right. Now, as I grew and I matured, sometimes other people couldn't balance that piece. So I still just cut it. But I remember one time I was 18 years old and I was working at Hardee's in Fostoria, Ohio.
Oh, wow.
Right. And the camaraderie that you get as a working in a restaurant, be it after closing, going and having breakfast or whatever that looks like, or looking to see on the schedule if you guys work together or how you can
Exactly.
work together. So those were always great times, and I missed that when I became a manager because I mean I was still young. I should have really been able to have that, and I missed that piece. So I always say, don't do any managing until you're 25. I don't care how much money they throw at you, because there's an experience, and with experiences, I think that's where this pandemic is gonna hurt ourselves in another 5 years. We're not gonna see it for another 5 years for this reason
Yeah.
specifically. Folks that are going from high school to college, folks that are going from junior high to high school,
Hmm.
elementary to military, elementary to middle, and third to fourth grade. I think that third to fourth grade is critical right now. Now,
Yeah.
my son is that third to fourth grader. So here's why I say this. In third grade, you're still getting chastised or corrected for talking in the hallway, right? Straight
Right.
line, don't talk to anyone. And they phase that out. So by fourth grade, those are things you really shouldn't have to be spoken to about. And I
Hmm.
feel like because of last year being pulled, they weren't able to develop that piece. And with the school year this year, it's just as bad. That eighth grade going into high school, they're not getting that whole experience of being told there's a pole on the
Hmm.
top of the floor and pay $5. Okay,
Exactly.
I was that
Yeah.
person. I hear you, Lake Taylor High School. Um, but I mean, I think that's where they're missing. What about you? Do you feel like some of the school kids
Oh
are missing that?
yeah. My niece is 15 and a half. She's a sophomore. And she actually goes to Toledo Early College. So
Oh,
what the way that works is, with her being a sophomore, this is her last, would be her last year where she has classes with other high schoolers, because starting junior year she should be mostly in college classes. So
yeah.
she's like, she's, yeah, kind of missing out on some of the senior year like sort of things where you get to be in that last bonding thing with your cohort, your class. And I know that she's just been absolutely dying to get back in the classroom. Her 8-year-old sister, my other niece, is the same way. They just, the social aspect is, I know, what's hardest. You can try to recreate the classroom as far as the learning experience at home, but you can't recreate that social aspect. And that's what's so hard, heck, for even adults. I'm an extrovert, I am an extrovert, I am an extrovert. Like, checking on your extroverts, it's hard for us out here. So
The
it's just,
struggle is real.
it's
Okay.
really hard to
Um,
recreate that social, and as much as you can do on Zoom, it's just not the same. So
but it saves
I'm
me.
feeling
Oh
it.
my gosh,
Oh
it
yeah, yeah.
absolutely. I've struggled because for the last 3 weeks, I've probably had 3 Zoom meetings in the last 3 weeks,
Oh
and I'm
gosh,
typically a 3 to 4 a day,
a
right?
day, yeah.
So this has really been hurting me. I haven't been in touch with people. I feel like I'm disappointing, and then you go with that whole self-worth and oh my God, I don't want to let people down, and then you're like talking to people at 3 o'clock in the morning, and then you're like, I need to go to bed, but I can't talk your business right now. I don't even know
Yeah.
who you are. So it's a balance that I have found to be difficult. I don't go out. I go to this grocery store. I love me some Walmart. When I
Yeah.
moved, I ordered everything online to the point that 4 different times my bank had to call to make sure that there was no fraud activity going on.
Same
Okay.
thing. I had the
Um,
same thing earlier this year. I feel ya.
yeah, like I have never shopped so much online in my entire life as I have in the last, what, 6, 9 months as a whole.
Oh my
So, I
gosh,
mean,
yeah.
I did read, oh my goodness, I don't know if you know this. So Taco Bell is working on their new remodel design. You know how they always refresh them in
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
areas. So they're throwing it back old school. They are going to start doing like Sonic, where they're
Oh,
coming out
okay.
to you. So they're cutting their building more than half by square feet. They're going from 2,400 to
Wow.
1,500 square feet because
Huh.
everything's gonna be like a rallies. Everything will be more outside. So they're losing the
Yeah.
dine space because that's where we're going. I mean,
Well, and like I mean, I know some people. There are a lot of people that do use, those like, I know that was a hot spot when I was a teenager, out riding bikes, bopping around the neighborhood and hopping into the McDonald's to meet people. So,
Yep.
there are some people that use those dining rooms, but there's no one ever in them. So it does seem like a cost waste for the businesses. So I'm not
Yeah.
surprised that.
But the good thing is once they
happens.
remove them, then they're going to have to hire more people. Taco Bell's calling them bell hoppers that will be delivering the
Oh,
food. And they're
Taco Bell
focusing
is so
on,
genius.
well, then they're focusing on the app aspect. So if you order off the app, you have your own parking spot.
Oh, they've always just been so good at marketing. Look back at Yukiro Taco Bell and the Chihuahua. Like they've been on it for a really long time. They're smart.
You know who I don't like who markets?
Who?
And I'm going to say this, so come after me if you want.
Okay.
Wendy's. It makes me mad that Wendy's attacks the other restaurants. They market by attacking other brands. I don't like that. Like, talk about how awesome your steak is or your meat, but don't down someone else because their meat's not the same as yours. You know what I mean? I don't like that kind of advertising. I think that's why the whole political piece makes me mad, is because instead of saying, hey, this is what I can do, it is, hey, this is what this person is not.
Exactly. And
Which is funny because that's how you enter relationships after a divorce, right? You typically, let me say this, not you, generally speaking. Generally speaking, and I can't even say that. I'll say me. I'll go with me. So when Susan and I broke up at 43, do we really break up still? Right?
However it feels in your soul, that's how it feels.
Yeah. That first time when we broke up and I was looking at other relationships, I was looking at everything that I didn't have in relationship one. I never looked at what the other issues were with the person. So for example, if Susan never wore the color red and I liked red, this other person was always going to wear red, right? But I didn't realize if they were mean.
Exactly.
You get blinded. So I always tell people that when you go into a relationship, make sure that you're looking at the big picture, because typically speaking, especially if you've been in a long relationship, whatever it be, maybe they're not a communicator, right? Maybe they don't wear high heels, whatever that situation is, that's what you look for in that next relationship. And you're like, oh, they're the best person for me because they fill this void, and this void. Well, what about the other voids?
Right. And then you're missing the rest of the picture. Yeah, absolutely. For sure.
And then you end that person going, oh, I only want a person that wear blue now, so you just keep fighting that same aspect. And I think that going back to that, I think that's where we are in that political career as well. As I love the cat just walks. I've been watching him walk in the back and walk around. So it's like, where's Waldo? I think that's where we are with America, is we're looking at what's wrong versus what's right. And we do that with businesses. I mean, at the end of the day, that's how we operate our businesses too, right? We don't go after the things that are doing right and improve them. We're constantly trying to fix the things that aren't.
It's funny. We were just in one of my classes last night talking about a style of management called adaptive management, where it's basically everything is a cycle, and you're constantly learning and you're constantly evolving, and you're letting. The thing that I really liked about it too is like you're listening to your workers. So it immediately involves trusting your workers, but it's the same thing. It's the same thing with personal relationships, with the voting. You have to listen. And you have to be willing to make changes too. You have to be able to take your own personal inventory, right? We're real good at taking everybody else's inventory. We're not so good at looking at our own inventory and, being honest about the changes that we need to make to make ourselves better for others. And so I think that's also probably a lot of the reason why Joe Biden had such an appeal politically, because he's just a nice person, like he's just that nice guy. And he doesn't, and it's like, if you go back and you think about like the primary debates, like he's so committed to the rules, and he was even doing it last week too. Like he just won't go over the 2 minutes, and he doesn't like to talk over people, and he doesn't like to, and so I think that's part of the reason that he's part of the moment we're in, is because he's just a wholesome, nice person. And I think we miss that.
Well, I find it hilarious that you said that. So let me tell you this story, Laura. So yesterday I went to Kroger Very first Kroger that I went to over here, it was a nice Kroger. I was surprised. More importantly, their liquor section was very nice. Okay.
Mm.
So as I was buying some stuff, I'm standing in line and I'm looking at some things. This dude literally just walks right in front of me, gets in front of me in line, and then goes to the next person. And I looked. I said, okay. So the other individual ended up and said, "Can I help you?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "I'll go now, even though I was first." And this guy looks at me and goes, "Shut up." I said, "You know what? You just got to be nice." Do you know what this guy looked at me and told me, Laura?
What?
"You must like Biden."
Oh my gosh. Just because you asked someone to be polite.
"You must be
Wow.
a Biden liker." I'm like, and that has anything to do with you just cutting into line?
Yeah. That's
I was
wow.
done. I was done. People
Yeah,
are
I
just so
mean,
bold.
it is. And it's like, yeah, the pandemic has brought out the so many great things in so many people, but it's also brought out a lot of, that. And I think that a lot of what it's brought out is the impatience. We've all, which I get it, we've all been, locked up for how long now? So, we're all impatient. We're all getting stir crazy. We're all getting twitchy. But
Twitchy. I like that.
yeah, I mean,
Hashtag twitchy.
that is literally the best way of how I've been feeling it. Like I've had like my bouncy leg thing has just been like crazy lately.
Are you a fidget person? So I'm a
Oh
fidget.
my gosh, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why you see I'm in like constantly readjusting and turning the seat. And yeah, I'm a huge fidgeter.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's talk about the elephant in the room.
Okay.
You ready? Your shirt.
Yeah. Voting today. So today is Wednesday, October 2nd or 7th. It is our second full day of voting in Ohio. So exciting. Early
I
voting
saw the
started
lines
yesterday.
were wrapped. People were bringing chairs. Don't be
Yeah. Well,
discouraged. Don't be
no.
discouraged.
Because it was funny. I read a story from the Blade, the Toledo Blade, that they interviewed one of the from the Lucas County Board of Elections, and they likened it. The guy said he's like it's like paying your credit card. You got a lot of people who do it the very first date that you can pay, and then you got a lot of people who will wait until the due date. So that's basically where we're at. So
No,
now's the
I
golden period.
absolutely agree with that.
Yeah.
People are gonna go, "Oh, I'll go later when the lines are lower," right? And then it's gonna be that last day, and they're like, "Oh shoot, I need to go now."
Right.
So just go. I don't care
Yeah.
what time you go, just go.
What's your voting plan?
I'm gonna go in and vote.
Have
Yeah,
you
I'm
decided
gonna
if you're
go in and
gonna
vote.
early or day of?
The day of. Yep.
Day of? Cool. Yeah,
Yep.
I did a absentee ballot. I'm doing absentee ballot. I'm gonna do it through the mail, and then I actually signed up to be a poll worker. So
Nice.
yeah, I figure, the last time I did it was in 2008 because that was also a pretty historic election that year. So, I figure, this is going to be this is a historic election either way. It's a pandemic. The turnout is just going to be bonkers, whether that
Ooh, I
be
hope.
either,
I
oh
hope.
yeah, it is. We already know it is at least by paper ballots, by requested absentee ballots. That has surpassed every mark that Ohio has hit for requests.
But
So
they got to send them back. I mean, how many times do we get something in the mail and, oh, we're going to get this, and it sit there for 3 or 4 months and then they're too late? That's my fear. But the
this is
marketing on
true.
this has been brilliant.
Yeah, and they like I know in Lucas County, the drop box that we used to have was just like literally something tiny little thing that you would have as your own like regular mailbox, but it just locked. So they upgraded that, and it was like stuck in the like area where the revolving door is downtown. Like it was a mess. So they actually pulled that out and made a big one, like the size of like a FedEx type box, and put that right outside Government Center. So that's much easier to get to. Wood County's got a drop box down at their courthouse as well. It does. I know that we've been working to try to get more drop boxes so that they can be spaced out in the count, out, because not everybody feels comfortable or has the ability to come to, downtown Toledo or
And they got paper
BG.
parking. right? So
Exactly. Yeah. Especially in
here's what
Toledo.
I feel like, and it would fix everything.
Yeah.
Put one
Tell
at
me.
every Walmart
Hey, I'm telling you.
or your grocery store. I mean, put something where it's like central in that aspect. So while you're going shopping, I'm just dropping this off. You're not out of the way. You're hitting their needs.
And you know
Almost
what? And most,
have Uber voting. You know what I mean? I mean, I'll come pick up your
man,
vote.
right. Yeah. And and most of those, like your Walmarts, like your Kroger's, they have, I know the argument is safety, whether or not those are safe. They have mailboxes there. It's safe enough for a regular mail. Why wouldn't it be
Right?
safe enough for ballot mail? I totally agree.
And everything is on camera, so you get to see it. Apparently, it's
Exactly.
being videotaped.
Right, exactly. I mean, Walmart was a great partner with the government earlier in the pandemic on having pop-up testing locations there too. So, they're definitely willing to work. And Walmart was one of the early adopters of a mask mandate in their stores too, if I remember.
Well, they have rewarded, like everyone wants to trash Walmart, but they have paid their folks, right? They're just giving them a raise now. They've gotten hazard pay. I want to say it's like the employees have gotten $300 2 or 3 times, not
Oh wow.
facts, just FYI. I want to
But
say that's
hey,
true. Yeah. They don't have to do
yeah.
that, you know.
No, they definitely,
Um,
and how many companies aren't? So
and they were one of the ones that cut their hours first as well.
I think so. Yeah.
And then people followed. Target followed. Kohl's followed.
Yep.
They've been the lead, which is kind of funny that they've been the leaders in that whole
Right,
thing.
because you're right. People, that's just definitely not what you mostly think of when you think of Walmart. You think of, that they take advantage of their workers,
Yeah.
honestly. So that I have been hearing reporting on that they have been taking care of the workers. And like I said, they've been good about working with the government and partnering on the masks and having testing sites and all that good stuff. So that'd be a really good idea. Hey, let's write an email to Frank LaRose and suggest that for Ohio.
I just met him in August for the first
Oh,
time. I work with one of all my clients are my favorites, but I work
yeah.
with another client that I specifically do some other additional work with as well, and they are a nonprofit, the Ridge Project, so it's a reentry program, and
Oh,
we
wonderful.
had Mr. LaRose on our podcast that we do, Tyro Talks. I always want to say Toledo Talks, Tyro Talks, and he was our guest there. He's friends with both Ron and Catherine Tirina. So
Oh, cool.
very nice guy, very charismatic, like
Mm.
very charismatic.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be to get elected. So
Well, you come from a political background. Do you care to share what that
I
experience has been
do.
as
Yeah,
a child
my
and
dad's
now
an
as a woman?
elected official. He's a Lucas County Commissioner, Pete Kirkin. He's on the ballot this year, so vote for Pete if you want, please. He's a Lucas County Commissioner.
Hey Laura, is it odd saying hey vote for Peter Girk versus hey vote for Dad? Like is that weird?
I don't know. I don't like to say like vote for Dad because I don't know. It feels like I don't want to be that person. You know what I mean? Like
Okay.
vote for my daddy. I don't know. It's just weird. So I'd like to say vote for Pete because I mean I vote for him as a constituent, not as his daughter. And believe me, he'll be the first to tell you I do not give him an easy pass. We have lots of discussions, and there's generally once or twice a month I get a phone call saying that he's not super excited about something that I posted on my social media criticizing local government. So we have those conversations. But yeah, he's been elected. He's been a county commissioner, oh gosh, since he got elected on my 21st birthday. On my actual 21st birthday was when
Wow.
he won that election. So that's been a while now. I can't do math. But he first ran for Toledo City Council. And that was back when I was in grade school. So, and that's what I kind of like to think of. Although I really like our new iteration of city council, especially the people, I haven't gotten to know much about the 4 folks that were appointed. So I'm hoping to learn more about them. But I do like our iteration of council that we have now. But I like to think of iteration my dad was on was like the dream team. You know, you had Janine Perry, you had Wade Kapsakavich when he was fresh on the scene.
Green, so green.
So green. Just graduated from UT. He was so funny. You had Luis Escobar, who recently passed away. He was our first out openly gay man on city council. And now we've got Nick Comives, and it's, you know, not even a question about Nick. It was, you know, Lewis, and that was back in the early 90s. Toledo's a pretty progressive place. I don't think people realize it. Who else is on that? Gene Zamuda, who is now a appeals court judge. So it was a pretty great. Peter Uvagi, who has been a state rep, he was on. So yeah.
Anything with Paula Hudson, ex-mayor.
Paula Hicks Hudson. She came on city council after my dad left, when he was on. By the time he was a commissioner, so he got to work with like a lot of really great people who have, you know, really moved up and you know, has continued to work with people. So I've always liked tagging along with him on those things, just because I like meeting people. It's always, you know, and maybe it's a chicken or the egg thing where, you know, you're raised on it, so that's why you're most interested in it. But I just love local politics. I really do.
Well, I think it's so authentic. And I think, again, knowing you from your early teen years as you were growing into this fierce, amazing woman, right? You were very opinionated there, right? But it wasn't kid opinionated. It was, this is what my opinion is. Here is why this is my opinion. And here are 5 things that we need to change your opinion. You know what I mean? So you were very open in that conversation piece then, which always kind of intimidated me, because I was not a political guy by no means. And at 20, I'm going to say 25, 24, and I have this 16, 17-year-old kid, at that point in time and mentality, I was like, I can't talk to her. She's smart. You know what I mean? So it was always very intimidating. Now, obviously, as an adult, I've educated myself and made things important. You're still more educated in the political piece by far, but it's nice that you're not pushing your agenda, but you're educating when you speak. I mean, that's what Toledo Talks is really about. It's about educating, putting things out. I mean, you throw your thought process and your opinion out there, but you're not shoving it down their throat. But more importantly, you're trying to learn from other people's process as well, because maybe something might click.
Exactly. That's, you know, one of the people that I got really interested on. She was on city council and she's now works for Wade's administration, Sandy Spang. You know, not typically someone that you would think that I would associate with. She's a business person. She's an independent. You know, she's more fiscally conservative than I would, you know, generally be. But her idea of when she was running for, I believe it was, I can't remember if it was when she was running for mayor or councilor or county commissioner, but she talked about a priority-based budgeting approach, where you say, what are our priorities? And you put those at the top of your budget. And it's like, oh, duh. Why wouldn't we do it that way? But it's just like, and there's more, you know, there's more details about how you do it. But it was just such a smart thought that I was like, boom. I supported her in that campaign. Right. I was like, you know, sure, fine. She's not traditionally, you know, a Dem as, you know, a straight line ticket vote, but I don't care. I loved your idea.
Yeah.
And the same thing, like I had Earl Mack on, who's running as an independent for Lucas County Sheriff. I love his idea of coalition building. And, you know, and so like we were talking about building the new jail, and the first thing he said is, I'm going to talk to the deputies who work in the jail. And it's like, haha, weird that you would talk to the people who work there first. And you know, that had been one of my questions and I'm going to ask that to Mr. Navarre and Mr. Warner too, if I can talk to him. What's your theory of justice? What's your theory of, you know, how do you look at these things? Because that's important to know where your basis is, because then you can find, you know, we all have common ground on one thing. We're all human, right? So you can find common ground and go from there. That's the easiest way. I mean, I can get feisty, believe me, but.
I think it's a great outlook. I think outlooks change, right? And I feel, especially in in America. One of the things that we did in our spring season is we talked about culture in America. You know, we had Black Lives Matter, which
Yeah.
people are still talking about, which is amazing, right? Uh,
Yeah.
what do you think about culture in Toledo? I think that we are very diverse here in Toledo. Now,
Oh
obviously,
yeah.
the further up you go to the Ann Arbor, Michigan, you're going to get, you know, a couple more diversified areas and so forth. But I think Toledo as a whole, we're like the gem, right? A mesh
Yeah.
of a bunch of different cultures and habits and respects. What's your thought process on that, Laura?
Yeah, we like I said, we're Toledo is super secretly progressive, whether people realize it or not, just as far as being, and what I mean that is just being such a welcoming community. We've got a really big immigrant community in Toledo. You know, how much people realize that, I'm not sure, but in our the folks that come and move here just talk about how welcomed and how loved they feel when they come here. You know, I think what makes Toledo such a great, welcoming, and diverse place is because we're really focused on workers here, and what makes that different and what makes that important is that, like, when you focus on workers, you're thinking about you're thinking about families, you're thinking about the bread and butter, the kitchen table issues, as people call them. People are, especially right now, people are worried about, how are we going to pay our mortgage? Am I going to keep a light bill on? What is my kid on, Zoom school or in-person school this week? Did I remember my
What day is it?
Right. What day is it? Yeah. And that's what I think is great about, what is our leaders around here is we focus on that. Okay. Like, the biggest political issue in Toledo is the roads. So, like, that is not the case in other cities, because roads are nonpartisan. We all just want them fixed.
Yeah. I Anthony Wayne Trail. That's
Oh
all I
my
gotta
gosh.
say.
Right.
Anthony Wayne Trail. It's ridiculous, crazy for sure. Yeah, I
Exactly.
don't
And,
know.
and that's what I think it comes down to, is like, you can, no matter, no matter where you are in Toledo, if you're with someone, in a neighborhood that you don't necessarily, or you're in like a Meijer or a Walmart in a different part of a neighborhood, and you're in the city, and you're just like, I'm not sure. And you're like, turn to the person next to you and you're like, oh, those roads, right? Boom. You have a 20-minute conversation. So that's what I'm saying. It's like we can all just relate to each other so easily. I think that's what makes Toledo such a great city.
Yeah, I love Toledo. You know,
I do too.
I'm an implant here. I'm married into the city. I've left twice through my career and then came back. So this is where I am. You know, Jackson Roberts has another 11 years plus or minus here, and then he will be off to wherever he wants to go. Now, his dream, he wants to stay close to home. He wants to go, he wants to go to Southview, and then he wants to go to
Huh.
Lawrence and play basketball.
That is such a beautiful dream. I love it.
Yeah, I'm
I
like,
love it.
Lawrence, how about UT? I mean,
Right?
he's like,
Right?
but I can walk. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, and Lawrence's campus is just so pretty too,
It's
obviously.
gorgeous. And
Yeah.
he doesn't live that far from there. He could walk campus. And I'm like, cheaper living, check.
There you go. Exactly. Yeah. You don't have to pay for room and
Right.
board.
My mom thinks it's funny because I said that when he moves, like after college, and if he gets a job in Chicago, I'm moving to Chicago. Like
Yeah.
wherever he goes, I'm going. Now I don't
Right.
have to live right beside him, but I don't want to be hours away from him. I want to be
Right.
able to hang out with him. Like I want to be his friend. And he tells me all the time, "Oh my God, you're my best friend." I'm like, "You're not my friend until you're 27. When you're
Right.
27,
Exactly.
we can be friends.
Then we'll be
Until
friends.
then,
Right
fuck
now, I'm
that."
still responsible for like molding you into a human.
Yeah, that was the thing. Is at the end of the day, I just didn't want an entitled punk ass kid. Okay. Now,
Exactly.
coming from a split home, you understand this very well because you had two homes.
Yep.
Um, I didn't come from two homes, but my parents weren't together. In saying that, you have two Christmases, right?
Hmm.
Sometimes two birthdays. I mean, you get so
Yeah.
much more than you normally would if you were in one home,
Oh
right?
yeah.
And we're not even going to talk about the first couple years, okay, where
Right.
you have
Yeah. The
divorce
guilt
guilt.
gifts. Yeah.
Right? So, just in general. So that could become very entitled, right? Because now you think you expect that.
Yeah.
Every Christmas, Jackson, Robert, and I, we go somewhere, either after Christmas for a week or before Christmas for the week. This year we're going skiing. So I'm totally excited. But normally, you wouldn't get that experience and then have another
Right.
experience with your mom. You know what I mean? So you can become very accustomed to that. And I'm like, he told me the other day, he goes, wow, we have so much money, we're rich. I said, no, we're not, buddy. I'm rich. You're poor.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Let's
Exactly.
get this straight.
You don't have a job yet.
Yeah. First off, I'm not rich by no means, but I think that he saw it regardless. And I had to
Kid
explain to him,
rich.
this is my money. This isn't yours, right?
Yeah.
You got to go and do your own thing. But it's hard from that two household because
Yeah.
his mother and I, am very fortunate, knock on wood. I'm a firm believer it takes a village, and he has a huge support system.
Yep.
We're always doing things together. We can, I did not want him to be at a school event or a sporting event and have to look at two different places for us. I never wanted
Right.
that for him. I didn't want me over here and him over there. If I could do it, I would wake up Christmas morning at their house. Like that's
Yeah.
my ideal perfect scenario. Will that happen? No. Can I wish? For sure. Okay. But that's my dream. And we're super close like that. We do a lot of things together. So I'm very fortunate that he gets that piece. But because of that, he can become entitled, right? Or the
Yeah.
expectations can become, this is what it's supposed to be. And I'm like, this isn't always how it is. You're fortunate enough to have two parents that can work from home and are super flexible. We're always at his games. His
Yep.
practices are a hit and miss just depending on what's going on. But I mean, that's not the normal. You know what I mean?
Right.
Usually you have parents working outside the home and scheduling or whatnot. It's hard enough when you guys are together to parent
Yeah.
together, let alone when you guys are not. So it's it's a struggle sometimes, but
And
it's
be and
nothing that I
have
wouldn't
and
want
being
to
an
do.
only child too is especially with the only child double household, it's very easy to get that spoiled vibe or that entitled perspective. And I know I had a friend of mine for her son's 8th birthday last year. For his 8th birthday, said no gifts, bring donations. And and her son was totally fine with that. He was so excited to see all the stuff that was going to come to his party
Aw,
and be donated to other kids.
that's
Like,
so kind.
right. And that was a very important, like, obviously at first he was like, wait, because he's 8. You're like, wait a minute, I'm
Yeah,
not going to get
presents.
presents at my birthday party. But everybody, of course, still brought him a present because, like me, I was like, oh my God, that's so sweet. You're going to give presents for your birthday? Here's a
Yeah,
present for you, too. So, I mean, he still ended up getting a bunch of presents and had a bunch of stuff to donate to other
yeah, feel
kids.
good. No, I love that story. First off, that
Yeah,
I love that story. I'm like, let me think of
I
something.
know. That's what I
Um,
told my friend. I was like, genius parenting.
Well, it's always so funny too because when Susan and I were together, she is is a minimalist, right? Christmas presents, 3 presents max, right? Where I am,
Yeah.
here's 15 for Jackson. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So those kind of things as well, where I am over and beyond. Now, fortunately or unfortunately, Holly and I are very much similar to that we're givers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like for his Halloween costume, she's right now making it. Like she is
Oh yeah.
an amazing crafter. She's using hockey pads and taekwondo boots, and he's gonna be this robot. I mean,
Oh my God.
I think she said
That's amazing.
100 hours is estimated to put this costume together.
Wow.
I mean, she is, but that's her. You know what I mean? That is
Yeah.
her avenue and thing. And it's just what you do. I think at the end of the day, we are here to develop our children to make them the best humans possible because they're the ones that are going to be running this country at the end of the day.
Exactly. Exactly. And you know what? Like, I know as you get older, it's always like the youth, the kids, the millennials, but
Those
like I
millennials.
I don't know. I spend probably too much time on TikTok, and I love the kids. I love the youth. They're so smart. They're so like self-assured and don't have a problem saying what their needs are and how that they want their needs to be met. It's beautiful. I'm like, all this stuff that we've internalized but haven't been able to put into practice, they're actually doing. So
Well, first off, let me say I love your TikTok videos because they're always about your cat.
yes, there.
Okay. It's usually, do you know what he did today?
Yeah. Yep. That is.
Or I'm cuddling. But I also want to say this. Now, do you feel after the divorce that you were more in touch on what you want? So going into the next whatever, hey, this is what it has to be. Like this bubble has to be filled. I'm flexible and compromisable on these areas, but bam, this is what I need.
So that's actually pretty funny. I can't even fathom the idea of another human right now. So it's like not really something. I'm still very much in the point where like I'm still trying to get myself 100% right.
Heal and rebuild.
Yeah,
Heal
exactly.
Rebuild. Yeah.
Yeah. And make sure I know what those what my hard points are, the things I'm not gonna, live without anymore. So no, I don't like, I'm cool with my cat and my dogs. So they're fulfilling
that whole self-awareness thing is huge. I mean, even in the business world, when you have your P&L sitting in front of you, right? Or you have your marketing plan sitting in front of you, or your political piece where you know what that campaign is going to be run on and based off that foundation. When that plan is in place, it's a whole lot easier to adapt and change it versus try to design it in the process.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think you're good. Well, listen, it is that time to wrap us up.
Okay.
I love today's session. I'm looking forward to next week's.
Me too.
But here's my suggestion. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
Should we get Opal on here?
Yes, we could. Yeah. I'd love, hey, what's her 2020 prediction? I'm here for it.
Like, what are the spirits telling Opal?
Yeah.
Folks that don't know who Opal Covey is, just wait.
She's a local lady who is very dedicated to her vision of Toledo's future in politics.
Did you see her when she was wrestling?
No, I missed that. She wrestled?
Yeah.
Did she okay? I mean, she's getting old now.
She's like 70, right? I mean, isn't she?
I mean, so here's the thing, like the whole city's going to have to come out for her eventually when the time comes when we eventually do lose Opal. I'm going
I
for
will.
Service.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
I want to carry. Like
she's a treasure.
I want to carry it.
Okay? Yeah. She is a full Toledo treasure.
She is. Listen, for as out there as some people think she can be, passion is passion, right? And I'm a firm believer that passion is passion. And if you have a foundation or a box or a soapbox to stand on and you preach it, as long as you're doing respectfully, do it. Go be you.
Exactly. And you know what? Who wouldn't want a music part on the East Side? Let's be honest.
Right? Anywhere.
Who doesn't want that at this point?
Right? Anywhere. It can be like the new San Francisco.
Right.
I'm going to wrap this up, but I have one last thing to talk to you about.
Yes.
Do you watch Dancing with the Stars?
I haven't this season, but I have in the past. But okay. I do. I'm aware Miss Carol Baskin is on the.
Well, she's gone. She's gone now.
Oh, she got voted off.
Here is my piece, and it blew my mind when I heard this. So Anne Heche is on there as well. You're familiar with who she is? You know, the one that, saw the alien for 3 days and got a little crazy back in the 1900s. Long story short, she told a story yesterday that I had no idea about. So she was doing the Volcano movie. I think that was with Joe and the Volcano with Hanks.
Yes, yeah.
And the movie premiere. Well, she had just started dating Ellen. They told her if she brought Ellen, they were going to kick her out.
Wow.
Ellen said, "Don't worry about it. I'll stay home. Do you?" She said, "Oh no." Brought Ellen. They escorted her out before the movie ended and wouldn't let her go to her own after party.
Wow. That's crazy.
Late 1990s.
Right. We've cut in 2020. Thinking about that now is just so. And right, Ellen is one of the most popular
Not
pop
anymore.
culture
She's
people.
mean.
Well, right, yeah.
They
Well,
all
right.
get
She
mean.
was. She
Look,
was until.
Rosie got mean, right? They all after that, she was the queen of nice. Then it was Ellen. Not Oprah, but who was that other one? There
Kelly
was
Ripa,
another one
I've
that they
heard,
said
is
they got
really
mean.
mean
Kelly
too.
Clarkson will be there too. In 5 years,
Yeah.
Kelly Clarkson will be the mean one too.
Right.
I love
Well,
me some
right.
Kelly
And there's
Clarkson.
that's a whole thing of like, do we always say that about women? But anyway, we're wrapping up.
That's a whole other topic.
Yeah.
Listen,
Exactly.
I enjoyed my time and energy today. I'm hoping you did as well. I want to
Oh,
throw
for
a
sure.
very special thanks to some of our sponsors out there, which is EBT, which is Elite Bookkeeping Plus, so you can reach out to them for your needs. We also hang out with Remax with Justin Anus as well, Remax Preferred. Any of our other facilities or our sponsors, definitely want to reach out and check them out. So we'll see you same time next week. And Laura,
Yes, sir.
anything else to say?
Nope. Make sure you go out and vote. Check your state secretary of state website. They'll give you your sample ballot and do your research on your issues and your candidates and vote, vote, vote.
Vote, vote, vote. Be safe and take care. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen.